Huge stakes day on Saturday at Saratoga. Three grade ones on the docket, including the Saratoga Derby Invitational. This is the second leg of the Turf Triple Series in New York. Joe Kristufek and Scott Shapiro. And Scott, obviously in these kinds of races, a lot of European flavor and oftentimes a very slow pace.
Yeah, not just these grade one races produce slow paces in two-turn turf races in New York, Joe, but this one, like many, looks like it's going to be a pretty dawdling early pace. Hard to kind of figure out exactly who may be on the lead. Perhaps it'll be a horse we know well in Cellist, who set a very slow pace, two back in the Audubon to get the job done. And then with the class check in the Belmont Derby, ran pretty well to finish third. But I wouldn't expect anybody to be too aggressive in here with Julian Leparoux on one of the likely pace setters.
Prior to the Breeders' Cup, Aidan O'Brien had a pretty long dry spell here in the States, and he obviously won a couple of races that day and has carried over to this New York series of turf races. Bolshoi Ballet for Aidan O'Brien getting the job done in the Belmont Derby. As the odds-on favorite, he's back here. He was pretty impressive that day, the likely favorite in this one as well.
Yeah, must be respected. 2-1 on the morning line set by odds maker David Aragona, one of the best in the biz. Ryan Moore makes the trip back over here. I thought it was a solid effort, somewhat workmanlike. I'm not sure what he beat in there. He'll have to beat a few more horses coming over from Europe in here, but definitely a deserving favorite, just not one that I'm overly excited to dive into.
Yeah, in these kinds of races, Scott, we usually have a really good handle on the Americans, and I almost always give an edge to the Europeans, and you try to find maybe one that's going to offer some value. Secret Protector here for Charlie Appleby. This one has been facing a really nice rival in Mo Hafeth, who had a 4-race win streak snapped last time out, was third in the Sky Bet at York, a Group 2 in his most recent start. So keeping good company, and these connections have done pretty well of late together.
They sure have. Charles Appleby, Mike Smith winning the two of the most recent races for the fillies in mares, just a game at Belmont. And then the most recent one at Saratoga, the name of the race escapes me, but Appleby goes back to Mike Smith. This one likely to probably sit a mid-pack trip, although didn't get out of the gate all that well in the most recent start. Could be an issue here, but definitely one of the ones I'm interested in using in a spread.
One that we're both very interested in, the Euro Invader Cadillac, who we did see here in the States at Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, had a claustrophobic trip, shook free a little bit too late. I thought really finished well with authority against the slow pace and over a turf course that kind of sort of favored speed. And the comeback race got at 1.25 miles last time out was very good, sets him up perfectly for this race.
Sure does. I was impressed with that effort, the first start of the 3-year-old campaign here with Shane Foley aboard, who does make the trip overseas as well, getting the job done. The True Self was the 2-1 favorite, part of that blankets finish. This horse 7 for 20 with a $1.2 million in earnings. And you mentioned it, claustrophobic trip for sure. In the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, ran well that day. Fire at Will got the perfect trip. Cadillac certainly didn't. I made him my lukewarm top pick in here, Joe.
Now, King Fury was supposed to run in the Jim Dandy, but there was a quarantine on Kenny McPeak's barn. It was precautionary. His horse is now able to run again, and the target for King Fury is the Travers, and he's going to utilize this race on the grass, his first start on the lawn, as a prep race for the Travers. I like this horse in totality, not sure about the grass race, and obviously being used as a prep.
Yeah, this extremely well-bred son of Curlin. You don't see Kenny with horses that cost $950,000 a lot. I remember him with this horse winning on Oaks Day, I believe it was, during the COVID pandemic, coming from well off the pace to get the job done. Doesn't get out of the gate all that well. And as you mentioned, Joe, not in love with a turf pedigree. You could maybe make a case that Taurus is out of a theatrical mare, maybe a little bit of grass there in comedy, but she didn't do much running on the grass, didn't do much running in general. Probably a prep here. I'm going to pass. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pass. I mean, he's 10-1 on the morning line, worth a second look. But again, prepping for the Travers where he could be a major player. Got anybody else in this race that you're taking a look at a possible price?
Well, I do have a soft spot for Palazzi. Hasn't worked out in the most recent starts. Made a real good run. I thought he was best in the Audubon. Didn't have a great trip when shuffled back in the Belmont Derby. He's 20-1 on the line. I'm not going to let him beat me, but probably needs a little bit of class relief.
Scott and I both going for a cruise behind the wheel of Cadillac, and the Saratoga Derby Invitational goes off as race number 9 on Saturday at Saratoga. And don't forget, opt into all of those great bet back offers, other promotions at twinspires.com and the TwinSpires app. Activate them. There's some good ones for Saratoga all summer long. Best of luck.